people that are taking away their funds. And every occasion we'll hear on here about how they take away money from Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood out there is complaining, saying that they are having to turn away as many as 10,000 patients a month because they lack sufficient funding. Planned Parenthood, right? Linda Williams, President and Chief Executive Officer of Planned Parenthood, just of one branch. We're not talking about the whole state. In the Mar Monte in San Jose, California, her salary is $325,482 a year.
Holy smokes.
The medical director at that same facility makes $233,087 a year. Somebody else, it just says family practice. They don't even identify what they do. Makes $205,000. Now, we're talking about an individual Planned Parenthood office. We're not talking about the whole state. $205,000. Listen to this. Somebody named E. Love, sound like some porn star or something, but is vice president of people support at this facility, makes $180,400 a year. Planned Parenthood in Golden Gate, San Francisco, the director there makes $304,000. The chief development officer makes $214,000. The vice president of medical services makes $201,000. Executive vice president makes $201,000. Chief financial officer makes $176,000.
Well, now, you know, it costs a lot to live in California.
Orange County, San Bernardino counties, CEO makes $291,000. The vice president for strategic development makes $162,000. Let's see,
This is paid for with tax dollars, right?
Right. Planned Parenthood of Los Angeles, the CEO there makes $255,000. The president of the board of directors, which means they meet a couple of times a year, he's the president of the board of directors, somebody named Bobby Lee, makes $160,000 for being president of the board of directors. And it goes on and on. I mean, some of these places have 60 and 80 employees that make over $50,000 or $60,000 a year.
And they're turning away these girls that need help.
Because 10,000 a day. CEO in San Luis Obispo makes $189,000. CEO of San Gabriel Valley makes $167,000.
If they care so much about the girls going in there, why don't they pay for the abortion themselves?
Yeah, I mean,
It reminds me of
it's always about money.
It reminds me of a proverb because Planned Parenthood's just bucking for more money. The proverb says, greed has two daughters, give and give.
You're right. Meanwhile, a radio station in Duluth, Minnesota bans a pro-life, this is a Christian radio station. This man needs to park his van in the parking lot while he goes and pickets or whatever at the abortion clinic. They won't allow him to park his van in the parking lot because it has pro-life stuff on. Now, there's a picture of the van. They can't say it's graphic. All it says is prayerfully and wonderfully made and a picture of a baby. That's it. Wow. The Christian radio station.
It's not even showing baby Malachi.
Nothing. It's just a van with very innocuous pictures on it and sayings.
And he parks in their Christian radio station parking lot, and they want him to not park there.
They're saying he can't park there anymore.
Right. In other words, folks, come on, listen to the Christian music, listen to who we got on. You're going to do something? Don't use us.
Well, what needs to happen here, and I'm more of a scorched earth type of guy. What needs to happen here is these people need to organize a campaign of saying they will not buy any product that's advertised on this station, or they will not go to any business that advertises on this station, and put some financial pressure on these people.
It just goes back to that same point. Christians refuse to take a stand for anything doctrinal, theological, social. There's nothing that Christians are willing to take a stand over and lose something to sacrifice over.
That's more maddening to me than the Planned Parenthood salaries and all that. That's way worse to me.
Well, yeah, because you don't expect any more from Planned Parenthood.
Exactly.
You expect something of these people.
Well, it's all about expectations, isn't it?
Yeah.
We used to picket a church in Southern California in Los Angeles that was literally right next door. They shared a parking lot with the Family Planning Associates. And on Sunday, when the church needed extra parking, they were allowed to park in the abortion clinic parking lot. The parishioners were. But when we picketed the place, we were not allowed to park in the church parking lot.
Well, that same thing happened right here in Denton when we had the abortion mill down on Elm Street, Mary Smith, before we ran her out of town. Half a block from there is ICC Catholic Church. They would not allow the sidewalk counselors to park in the church parking lot. And was later discovered that one of the nuns at that church was tipping off Mary Smith, the abortionist, when the pro-lifers were going to be out there picking.
Oh, no.
I mean, don't people understand? One day they're going to stand before God on the day of judgment.
I don't think they truly believe that, Johnny. I really don't. Meanwhile, down in Houston, of course, you know, we had the world's largest abortion mill opened up down there this past few days. PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or People for the Eating of Tasty Animals, whichever, you know, I love animals, they taste great. They're putting out billboards down there, pro-life, go vegan. In other words, suggesting that if you're truly pro-life, then you wouldn't drink milk, as if drinking a glass of milk is the equivalent of killing an unborn child. I tried to call these people, I never could get through to them. I was going to ask them, are they doing the same thing in reverse? In other words, are they telling vegans that they're being inconsistent if they're not pro-life? Because I'll guarantee you 99% of the vegans in this country are pro-aborts.
You know, not necessarily, though, but, you know, I see this as a positive step, Mark. And I know we can discuss this.
I
but
see,
you see that pro-life has become such a positive influence on the community.
Right.
Who really wants to be pro-choice?
Right.
Who really wants to be pro-abortion? So now even the vegans and PETA are adopting our language. And that's a good thing as long as we can keep the term pro-life pure.
Now, speaking of Houston, and this is an embarrassment for the whole state of Texas, like having Ann Richards as governor one time wasn't bad enough. You know, is there no
When I heard her voice.
is there no indignity that's not to be heaped upon us?
Now her daughter runs Planned Parenthood.
Now her daughter runs Planned Parenthood. Houston just became the largest city in the United States to elect an openly gay mayor. She took her oath of office with her hand on a Bible, holding hands with her lover, this other woman.
What is wrong with this
There they
picture?
are, got their hand on the Bible and holding hands with each other. Let me tell you what else is wrong with this picture. Who did the invocation there?
Our buddy Joel.
Joel Osteen did the invocation and praised God for raising up this mighty woman.
We wonder why the church is in trouble. See, I tell you, I was so shocked when I heard that he did this, because, you know, when I found out, they said, oh my goodness, they got an openly homosexual lesbian as a mayor. I said, what? Osteen got one of the largest churches there? How did they allow this to happen? Then I found out it was worse.
Right. They not only allowed it, they celebrated it.
That's right. I don't feel so bad for calling it fluffy.
You can
Always
have a
call them
large
fluffy.
church as long as you have no standards.
Right.
It's real easy. When there's no standards, when there's no rules, when it's all fluff, you can have the whole world as your
That's
church.
the underlying principle behind this, what's called the seeker movement, which he's part of. That's the underlying principle of how you build a big church, is not to take any hardcore positions on issues.
Not even hardcore.
It's just
but
I'm
what-
okay, you're okay, warm, fuzzy, touchy-feely.
I like to remind people like this of just one thing that Jesus said. If you love me, keep my commandments.
And I did not come to bring peace.
And
I came to bring a sword.
But broad is the way that leads to destruction. I mean, if you want to have a nice, big, huge thing, it's nice and broad and bring everybody in. But it's best to take the straight and narrow if you really want to please God. You know, and
Please God, please man. Which, you know.
Well, anyway,
we know which one the church has chosen.
well, for one thing, we know the church don't want the straight and the narrow now.
That's right. That's all the time we have for the news, but I think we got it pretty well covered. There's a couple of small stories that we didn't get to, but maybe we'll get to them next month. We'll be right back.
Society can prevent those who are manifestly unfit from continuing their kind. 3 generations of imbeciles are enough. I do not join in the belief that the African is our equal in brain or in heart.
We are paying for and even submitting to the dictates of an ever-increasing, unceasingly spawning class of human beings who never should have been born at all.
The laws of nature require the obliteration of the unfit.
The best way to hate a nigger is to hate him before he is born.
American eugenicists were routinely praising Hitler and holding up the Nazi eugenics program as a model for the United States to copy.
Non-white races must be excluded from America. The red and black races, if left to themselves, revert to a savage or semi-savage state in a short time. The only way possible of decreasing Negro population is by means of controlling fertility. birth control facilities could be extended relatively more to Negroes than to whites, since Negroes are more concentrated in the lower income and education classes.
We hope that the restraint of population growth can come about through voluntary means. But if it does not, involuntary methods will be used.
There should be national sterilization for certain dysgenic types of our population who are being encouraged to breed and would die out were the government not feeding them.
If this movement continues, we soon may be accused of fighting poverty by eliminating the poor and overcoming hunger by removing the hungry.
For all their failures, what the eugenics movement had accomplished was to lay the foundation for the next phase of their plan. And this is where they would find the success that they had been chasing for over 100 years.
Welcome back. Speaking of Maafa 21, just saw the trailer for Maafa 21. I'll tell you what, this thing, I keep waiting for it to kind of taper off. This thing keeps on accelerating. The Maafa 21 project is unbelievable. And if you don't believe so, just go on Google and just type in Maafa 21 and see the hundreds of thousands of sites that come up. And we're on all these hip-hop websites, which I didn't even know hip-hop music had websites, but they do apparently.
You didn't even know there was hip-hop music, did
No,
you?
that's how out of it I am. But we're on the front page of some of the biggest hip-hop websites, and they're pushing Maafa 21 with no financial incentive for them. They're just sending them to our website and telling people to watch this. If people think that we're talking about something that doesn't exist, this idea of eugenics, just a few days ago in Politics Daily, this woman named Bonnie Irby, who used to be on a PBS station, she's an ultra-left political analyst, hardcore pro-abort. She was talking about the issue of abortion, and she brought up this one particular woman who she said had 9 children, and she emphasized from several different men. And she said she is bearing, selfishly as I am convinced, an overly large brood at a time when U.S. and indeed world population growth is pushing the planet's ability to provide such needed commodities as clean air and water, housing and fuel to the planet.